Welcome back, everyone. A very special welcome to Stella from Meeple University. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me here, Rainer.
Thank you for being here. It is so. We were just as we ended the previous one, we were just talking about how it's been so much fun to see people. I mean, I always look forward to seeing you at a convention, and of course, the past several months have been completely void of conventions. So it's great to see you.
I missed that, which is actually part of the topic.
Yeah.
Which is going to convention to America and Europe. Wow. Well, this was before all these restriction and lockdown, and I can't remember what travel is. Yes.
So that's some of the things we're going to talk about right now is, and especially so, Stella, first of all, just tell everyone, I'm sure everyone knows who you are, but still tell us about you and yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I can see, is it Zendracer? Is it Derek? I think it's Derek on the chat.
That is Derek.
Oh, hello. I am
he's gonna be a lot of trouble, by the way, so ignore him.
That's okay. I can handle troublemakers. I think we've got some troublemakers on our live playthroughs and so on, so that's okay. I love them, actually. I love troublemakers. So I'm Stella, again, from Meeple University, also on the Dice Stella. So we've got Meeple University on YouTube mainly, and then there's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I am me and my husband, Tarrant, are also doing videos on the Dice Tower. So a few videos, Board and Breakfast, how to play the playthrough and live playthrough and so on. So it's been a very, starting off hobby. Now this is my full-time profession. So I'm happy to say that.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be in this hobby. I think my bell just rang. I think that's a postman. Oh no! Hopefully they'll leave the package rather than waiting.
Well, if you need to,
that's okay. I'm sure he'll leave the package. One moment, I'm gonna mute my mic. Sorry, I just mute my mic and then just tell them to leave the package.
Yep.
Well, after all, this is 9:15 a.m. In Australia on what day is it? Monday. So yes.
Monday for you, yeah.
So
yeah, and I was going to say about, I mean, because you do a lot of different content and stuff. Like you do, like you said, you do sometimes the playthrough videos, you do reviews, and sometimes you do just the shorter ones that are on the Dice Tower for Board Game Breakfast and stuff as well.
Yes.
And but also you have always been doing a little bit of those things. So of course, when we had conventions and such, then you were also doing because you would do them from the convention. I remember sometimes I've been part of them, but I've seen you for sure walking around and providing content from a convention. In some ways, that must be nice to not have to travel with your equipment.
At the convention?
I'm saying now. I
see. I always think that physical conventions is a chance for me to meet people face to face because I love that face to face interaction. I know that right now there's nothing much we can do, but it's online convention it's different. I can't just express. I'm very expressive a lot of the times, and I would be like, "Hi, how you going?" And then I still remember the first board game convention was Origin Game Fair 2019. It was on the Thursday or Wednesday, and I think you were there, and you were just setting up things, and there was an issue with the booth, I think. I don't know. So that was my first ever convention to the US in overseas outside Australia. It was very exciting. I still have my camera and everything, as you can probably remember. I have more compacted things now, compacted camera and everything that I can carry. But yeah, I really miss that physical board game conventions. But I do save money because I'm not spending money to fly because it's from Australia.
Right.
It's quite a few that I have to pay, and then the hotel as well. But everyone's paying hotel, so. They are. I just go with Ella sometimes, or sharing rooms with Ella or other people at the convention, which is just good. I still miss that, but yes, I don't really miss carrying big suitcase of stuff around.
Yeah. No, and also I think, and this was something that we talked about before, like when we were exchanging email messages about this as well. I'm always fascinated by, and this of course goes for anyone who is a content creator, right? Because the amount of stuff that you bring to a convention is different, and you also have, like for us, we already know we have to bring pallets, we have to bring containers sometimes to a convention, right?
Mhm.
So for us, the choice of do I bring this or that, I'll bring both of them. It's a non-issue.
Yep.
Whereas for you, deciding what you bring, what's the necessities for being able to both provide the right video, sound quality, sometimes when it comes to internet connection and everything, those are things, and it fascinates me, right? Because I know that for you, the planning for a convention is completely different than it is for us.
Yeah.
And also just now for you, because you have to travel a longer distance, you have to fly to all the US conventions.
Yep.
I could drive to all of them, right?
So lucky.
It's and I'm just saying, but it's a topic that I find it interesting. I mean, hopefully this is something that people also enjoy. So it's like assuming that conventions, I mean, they will come back at some point, right?
Oh, for sure.
We're
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
getting
The
to that part.
first one that's I'm safe to go, I'll jump on the plane, bring my
Yeah.
print list of printing things that I have to buy. I've got a checklist, so I just have to print it, check it.
Is any of that gonna change, do you think, because of because I know for us there will be things that we're changing about our conventions. Is any of that gonna change for you, of how you approach convention planning and that?
Yeah. There are usually little changes, but not a lot. When I upgrade my equipment, that happens a lot. When I, depending where I go, like, is it cold, is it hot? So I do my research. But the most things is that I've got my essential. So again, it is on my checklist. I'm big with checklists and things. So just make some modification, or I just include everything. I just jot my memory of what I need to bring, whether I tick it or I cross it. I've got new camera now that I'm using right now. That is a smaller. Maybe I'll bring this rather than my bulky camera. I don't know where it is right now. So that might change. And then I've got the microphone that I usually bring. Maybe a new tripod that is lighter, or tripod just for that sort of thing. Or should I use my phone? I don't know. I don't really want to use my phone anymore. But I also considering all these things I want to bring, but I also want to bring back board games. So that is very important. There's a occasion where this was Essen Spiel 2019. That was the last. It was my first Essen Spiel, and my last one before. Well, the last one before they went to online. And that I have to go to the post office and send some games in boxes. So I think Dice was probably already doing that, but that was probably the first time I had to send boxes of games separately. So yeah, consider it that. That's what I do after convention. Go back to the hotel, unpunch everything, throw all the what do you call it, the rest that I don't need. And sometimes, I'm sorry everybody, throwing out some inserts you don't need it. I think Rainer, you do throw some inserts. Try to compact everything to bring home. I think
no, and actually that part, that's a real thing, because every convention, yes, usually I try to do it a little bit, but I know that it's gonna be the last evening, right? When I'm packing things up. that's when I sit and I punch everything. And I always think about the because either if I know that they have an easy place to recycle something at the hotel or whatever, but I always think about the personnel and they'll see me either carry things and be like, hey, can I recycle this somewhere or whatever, or even just things that I know can't be recycled that unfortunately have to be thrown away that go in the hotel room trash can. And I always think about the people that come up like, why did you have so much plastic or whatever? And but it's definitely punching board games, trying to make them fit and trying to make it fit enough padding around it in the luggage and everything.
Tetris, yep, our Tetris skill that Taryn usually does. Yep, I'm sure that the cleaner in the hotel, they're used to it. Like everyone does that. I'm sure like a lot of people that needs to fly, they have that as well. They're punching things, destroying things they don't need.
Yep.
They expect it in the board game seasons.
Yeah. But it's a funny thing to think about actually, because conventions, they make things so different in that regard, because there are things like when you bring something home from a convention, it's one thing if you bring it home from a store, you may not punch it right away. But the stuff that you bring home from a convention, at least I do, I punch it immediately and I look through and I sort things and I put it in there so that it's all organized and everything, which I wouldn't necessarily do with games that I went and picked up at a store, right?
No, me neither. It's a different type of not rush priorities. Yeah, different type of priorities, because you have to save weight and space. And I'm sure everybody, I assume everybody does that as well. That is my routine. I do want to catch up with people, but I do also need to do that. Or I can just do it like on the last day, like punch everything. That's what happened as in punch everything. I've got like one full day that I can do all those. Put everything in the suitcase and then just reorganize and then send some and then bring some home. And Derek say there is a game of luggage space stack games and carry on bits. That is correct. So that's the game that we play after the convention.
Sometimes it makes everything too dense though. So then you have like, because I have one of those portable scales and sometimes
me
I'm
too.
Like, oh man, it's like,
yes.
I'm never, is it worth it for me to pay, or are they going to care? Because sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I mean, but this one is now, and I underestimated. Oh, this one is 10 kilos above limit. Oh man, now what do I do? It's a it's such a weird just and like Derek is saying,
it is.
You have to travel with the scale.
Yeah,
you have
to. Like I've got two portable scales that I use depending on where I'm going and that sort of thing. Actually, now I'm using the one without battery, just in case it runs out of battery. I'm like, oh no. So it has to be single thing has to be calculated, right?
Yeah. I have a question for you, because I know this happens to me a lot.
Sure.
Just because I travel with games all the time. That means that often they look really weird on the scanners that you put your luggage through. So in my carry-on,
I'm sure
I often get stopped.
Yep.
I assume the same happens to you as well, where they're like, so what are you bringing?
Yeah.
Because it looks like weird things on.
I would imagine so. I don't remember. I think I've put some on my carry-on, but most of it goes to the one that I checked in. So the process behind it, I don't know. But a lot of times also when you get sent from overseas, because for us to do content creating, it's like, Australian border has inspected this and that sort of thing. Sometimes there's that sticker. I'm like, they probably like wonder like, what is that? Like, there's a wooden cube, there's some metal, what are those? And I can see that they put the sticker there, and then like, nothing was taken. Sweet. that was good. Otherwise they probably contact. I don't know. I never got into trouble, of course, because they're all just board games.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I just know there was one time when I brought back from, and this was just even within the US, I brought back a game of Brass Birmingham for a friend, and because they had those clay poker chips in them, and I just stuck it in the in my carry-on, and I didn't really think about it. They're like, "Oh, what do you have here?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Oh, I bet that those clay chips, they look really weird on the scanner. It's like, and this was all in the it was in the shipping box as well from the company. And I'm like, oh, this will be a pain if they want to open that and take everything out and whatever. But they were good about it. I'm sure they see that a lot in general when people travel. They just.
I do have a thing for you, Rainer, that I've prepared.
Sure.
So one stage, I wasn't allowed to bring a board game onto the aeroplane as a carry-on luggage because they say the risk is too big. The board game, the risk. Sorry, it was like a bad dad joke because you're big at that.
I appreciate that. I was talking to. Who actually? It was funny. I was telling. It was some conversation that during one of these streams or whatever, we were talking about the things that I do at because I tell bad jokes at conventions. You've experienced this.
It's good.
I bring weird candies.
Oh, I love them. The game. Oh my gosh, I miss that.
But have you tried the pepper licorice candy though?
I think I tried it. I'm not a big fan of licorice, but some licorice I like. I think you did give me, and I did go through it. It was I think so. I prefer the dame. But
that one's really good.
No, I think I found it in IKEA, local IKEA. Pretty sure.
Yeah, they have it there for sure.
Yeah. So Derek was like, always get stopped. They never check my carry-on weight. I had a shoulder bag that was 35 pounds. Oh my gosh. Like, or Stone was like LBS. That's like, it's not kilograms. That's pounds, isn't it?
No, it's 35 pounds is like
12, 16 and 17 and a half.
Yeah, 15, 16
kilograms.
Kilos,
yeah. It's like,
I mean, I could look it up.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sure it's LBS. So.
Yep, it's 15.87.
There you go, kilograms. Yeah, backpack. That's a happy backpack.
Hey, he says that I bring awful candies. I bring great candies.
Oh no, the secret's revealed. What's going on here?
So, is there anything that you bring for fun to conventions, like something that you just want to bring? I mean, I know that I was gonna say because we do candy exchange.
Yes, I know that's one of the best things at convention. We do food and candy exchange, food that we can obviously bring through customs or whatever it is that we feel like. Yeah. Sorry, what was your question? Just bringing anything.
No, I was just gonna say, but is there anything else like that you do when you, and especially because for you to like when I go to, and especially to a US convention, for example, I mean, sometimes I almost forget which city I'm in because I see the hotel, see the convention center, and I travel in a car to and from, and I wish I either took more time or had more time to experience some of the things like in that city or so. Is there anything like that you do? Because obviously the effort for you to travel is much greater. It's easier for me to make a separate trip to these cities to actually, if I wanted to go there for vacation or so. Is that something that you plan especially around it so that you have either time before or after, or
well, I understand because you technically are working for the company while I work for myself, sort of thing, so I can be a little bit more flexible. But yes, it really depends if Taryn is coming or not. Most of the times I only go on my own, which I usually allow less time to experience, but when Taryn's around, when we went to Origins, it was actually our US tour before ending up at Origins Game Fair.
Oh, cool.
Because we know that needs to be the last one because we're gonna have a lot of board games with us, so we don't want to carry that like alone, like around US.
Right.
That was before that. before the convention. So we go straight home after. So we did allow some time. If I'm on my own, I do allow probably a day or two before that to just, on my own, walking around, just get familiar with where convention is, where I can go to
Right.
supermarkets to get my staples. And then a day after, at least to pack up and Tetris, all that, that Derek mentioned, that game of Tetris, and put everything in the suitcase. But it really depends. But sometimes I put another day, an extra day to just go around and just explore. So yeah, I always have that in mind. I wish Tarrant will come with me more often, but I understand that he's got another full-time work. But yeah, I would actually allow more time to do that so that I can experience things more. It would be good if I can, drag one of the board game friends in the board game industry to come along. So I feel like I'm not a big solo traveler when it comes to leisure time. But board game is completely different. It's leisure as well as business for me. So yeah, that's I'm going on my own is also fine. And in the plane as well. In the plane, there are times where I'm like, okay, leave me alone. I just want to sleep, or I just want to do my thing. So I don't mind that. I know it sounds bad maybe, but yeah, it's in the plane. So hopefully I get it.
Yeah.
Would you? I understand you would be much easier to do it another time, and maybe it's better with you and your family, with your 7 children, 5 7
5
yeah, sorry,
kids.
yeah, 5 with your wife, you and your wife at 7.
Sometimes it feels like twice as many, so
yeah
depends on if we're having a good day or a bad day.
Yeah. So I do have a question for you now, Rainer.
Sure.
2 questions. First one is a serious question. The second one is not a serious question. First question. How do you manage being a publisher and also you're active in social media, like right now, for example? And I know you also have, maybe it wasn't so much before the COVID lockdown and all that, but now. So how are you going to go forward as a publisher? Are you going to still doing that when things back to normal? Are you going to allocate it to someone, or what you going to do?
I mean, I think for us, so for us as a publisher in general, it's definitely made as much as conventions are hard work because they're a logistical problem. You have to bring things and you have to go early and set things up, and they're physically demanding and stuff. But online conventions are not any less work. They demand a lot of, and especially I think also now it's gotten easier, but at the beginning there was so much that I was either completely unfamiliar with, or like the first time that I started doing any streaming because I had to, or so. It's not something that I had done before because I wanted to. It became a necessity. And the learning curve for some of those things, I mean, just even getting used to OBS, for example.
Yeah.
And setting that up for streaming or whatever. Although right now we're not using this because we use a live studio that made it easier to swap people in and out.
I do, though. I've got a virtual camera from OBS.
But otherwise, I think the absence of conventions, while it made it easier to not have to travel, made it easier to not be away from family and so forth. It still made, like this weekend, for example, I have told my kids, I mean, they know I am in this room when I work and so forth on a regular basis. This weekend, I am not home because I am doing something on stream all the time and so forth. That has been a little bit difficult just from an emotional and mental perspective of having to set certain boundaries for that, or it's like, oh, I do my streams on Monday nights, for example, but at the same time I don't leave the home as much. So it's definitely a there are definitely pros and cons. Now, things really changed for us. So we switched immediately. So I mean, we were both at Gamma last year when the big global
Yes. Yes.
lockdown started. While we were at the convention, several countries' borders closed, including the United States. The borders, the ability for people to travel to the United States, traveling out was still obviously not an issue, but traveling to the United States, lots of things changed immediately. We immediately pivoted to doing a lot of just online demos. So we had already used Tabletopia to a certain extent, just for practical reasons, but now we put all of our games on Tabletopia.
Makes sense.
And I started doing virtual demos with, I mean, we played things on Tabletopia as well, right?
Yeah.
And I started using that as a tool for showing things off. That made it difficult to, like, teaching in a digital environment. It takes longer, it's more time consuming, you're more distracted because I have to focus on both trying to be as efficient in my each as possible. I have to pay way more attention to what's going on the table. And if I'm also if it's a live play, then I also have to worry about the stream or something.
Yeah.
So for me as a publisher, that has definitely increased the especially the mental drain and stuff.
I
Now,
understand.
someone was saying here so James was saying in the chat that for someone who doesn't go to conventions, I love these online conventions, hope they keep up.
Oh,
From
that's
our
James
perspective,
from Little Meeples. Hello, James.
yep, we are for sure forever, even if everything went back to how it was today, we will always. So for example, if there is Gen Con or Spiel, sure, we're going to have a booth, we will have demos, and we will also have presence. We're always going to, at the same time, even if the convention doesn't do it, we will have our own demo staff to run a virtual table, to run demo tables. I will be probably doing streaming content from the convention, from our booth, and just interacting more with the audience. And because the people that don't come to the conventions are really, really important. Now we've always believed that, right? And from our perspective, that has gone out to supporting people on a local level, whether this be how we support retailers or especially people that are active within their local community and gaming groups or reviewers. But as a publisher, we're more directly we're going to keep using our Discord server, for example. We're going to keep having demos on there. We will be doing more demos in general and such. So in general, we're going to keep that up. We will have to decide how that gets kind of split up, because now I haven't had the physical conventions to go to, but I will, because I'm the only one from the company who lives in the United States. So that means I will be going to each of them, right? So
where is that going to be, the first convention you reckon that you're going to attend?
The first one will probably be Gen Con. So Gen Con in September.
Wow. Okay. I'm still nervous about traveling just in case if Australia shut the border immediately.
No, and that's the now and part of that is the fact that I know so I already got my first vaccine. We'll get the second shot
good.
Actually this
good,
weekend or this week. Now I know that does not mean does not give you immunity, right? I know that. But I also know that on top of this, they are planning on taking certain measures to limit the number of attendants in the building, to implement social distancing, and to do all these things. And I think that as a combination I feel okay attending it.
Yeah.
Now, that said, we will forever have hand sanitizer at our booth.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a good idea in general.
Yeah.
Why not at any convention? I mean, people have jokingly over the years been talking about the con.
Yeah.
You get sick after, which is just because you're interacting with hundreds or thousands of people, or you have
That would be
for
good.
sure
Yeah.
tens of
If you have.
thousands of people in the same building. Hand sanitizer in general, I don't know why we didn't do that before, because it's such a logical thing. Why
I think
not? And
everyone already have it in their bag. Like I do have it in my bag. Maybe that's why.
mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if people have hand sanitizers.
But at the same time, like one thing that I would have felt super awkward about before, but that I think we
Yes.
will just implement as a practice,
Yeah.
is that at each demo table, we're just going to have a hand sanitizer
Yeah.
there. And when you sit down, it's just a
Mm.
good idea. Just use the hand sanitizer, sit down and play. And that seems to me like a good practice,
Yeah.
that I think we will stick with, right?
I think Derek said that he has it at the booth. I think Derek was helping Greenbrier Games,
Mm-hmm.
or I think if I'm not mistaken, Juliet Greenbrier Games,
Yep.
and yeah, James is glad that that's going to be online as well. I think that would be quite important for people who not be able to travel yet, or I think I'm not worried about the distance, the measurement on the US, but my only concern is coming back to Australia. Am I going to be able to do that without having to go through like 14 days? And then what I'm going to do? I can't do contents. I was like, I can't do anything. So that's actually the main concern. I'm hoping I've got vaccinated soon because, I'm considered as part of the lower risk people. So we're probably going to get that later on in Australia. So cross my fingers, hopefully that is soon. But I also understand there are other people that has got pre-existing conditions, which we don't, that they need to, get those first, and, important medical stuff and so on. So so that's okay. Like although if I got vaccine, I'm still a little bit like, I'm not too sure about travel. I'm not too sure about this year. I would love to go if Australia can guarantee that I can come back, but they can't guarantee. And that's
Right.
just like, that's worrying me. We haven't even gone outside our own state. It's we're that scared because they just shut down borders between states in Australia, just like that. Like, okay, 24-hour notice, you have to come back, otherwise we'll close it, or just 12 hours. I can't remember. I'm just like, nah, I'm not going outside of Victoria for now because we're scared. So basically, that's it. So thank you for giving that insight, Rainer. I guess that COVID would change forever the way people have convention. You might, as you say, you might have it on the booth and you might have it online at the same time. So both people all over the world and at the physical convention can enjoy the convention. And I think this is probably is a good idea for the first convention, especially any convention this year. I think that would be great. I did like what Gamma did with you pop up in the like a round. Did you go? I can't remember if you guys were there.
No, I didn't. This
Okay.
year we did not. No.
Yeah, okay. Right. So you pop up as like round circle, you can join different rooms, pop up as circle, and you can just like join conversation. If you move your circle closer to a group of people, you can hear it. If you move further out, you can't hear it. It's funny because people pop up in different rooms and then they pop up automatically near a group of people that were having conversations. So you're like, am I like awkwardly moving away, or am I joining conversation? I don't know. So yeah, it was an interesting one. I don't know if anyone attended Gamma. I don't think, maybe Derek did. I don't remember seeing you. A few other people did, but that was probably trying to mimic the convention, the closest one, anyways. So yeah, good to see that you'll be doing that as well, both online.
I think that aspect of things this past year has been the most challenging, especially for us. I'm sure it's been for you as well, of not knowing. Everyone was saying, oh, of course, the physical one is canceled. We're going to be doing something online. But the problem was that everyone was doing something different. There was never, because normally when you go to a physical convention, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Yes, they have different layouts, the things function a little bit different, but in general, they're very similar.
Yes.
Certainly the size is different, and the additional events like Gen Con, for example, they have lots of non-board gaming things that are taking place because they are I mean, they have cosplay and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Other conventions don't have that. But if we're talking just about the booth experience,
Mhm.
physical convention, I mean, there's a reason why we have a palette that has all of our essentials on it that we take to every convention, because we do generally have a similar presence there. Whereas with the online conventions, they've all been different. Not a single
Mhm.
one has been doing it the same, which is why we also moved to using Discord and saying, well, we can neither be dependent on what functionality may or may not be available, but we also want to make sure that we can provide an experience that is consistent from convention to convention, something that we know that we can both handle and manage and everything.
Yeah, that's correct. Because
Has that been difficult for you with how the online conventions have been, or for that matter, people in the chat? Has that been difficult to know what to expect from the different conventions, or what do you think?
it's really different, isn't it? Like, you don't know, as you say, you don't know what to expect. There's no actual standard or things that work 100%. There's always, this is new again. So probably the first time the physical convention started, there's a different standard and so on. But over the many years, it's evolved to, all right, you expect this and this and this. But I think overall, what I can expect from online convention is this demo on either Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, usually those two. I don't think BGA, because it's not really common in Asmodee board. I don't know what's going to happen. Anyways, and then there's that. There's most probably Discord. It really depends, but I think there's some sort of Discord, as you said as well. And whether how you interact, then that's the most different thing. Like I mentioned Gamma before, where you just pop up as a bubble and then you just like go around people and chat and whatever. And there's another one that doesn't have that, mimic the physical experience, and I'm not too sure what to expect as well. And James say he never know what to expect, but can lead to pleasant surprises. So that's actually true. Like that Gamma thing is actually a pleasant surprise for me. I would like to, if there's Gen Con this year, there's a chance that I'm not going yet. I probably won't have my vaccine yet as well. I doubt it. I have, it's running behind in Australia, I think. Don't quote me on that. And yeah, there's a chance that I might just jump online. So hopefully there's that option as well, from you and then other publishers as well, for me to enjoy that. Although I find my sleeping pattern is easier if I go actually fly and sleep all day in the plane and then adjust my time zone right there and then, rather than staying at home and then having to wake up at 12 while Taryn, my partner, just kind of like still sleeping beside me. That's just that. That's not a complaint. I can't really complain about that. I do have that second question though, Rainer. Oh, James went to Gamma. Yay! I'm glad that you did. So second question is, you are well known, for those who's interacted with you a few times, for your dead joke. So did you prepare those, or did you just come up just like that? I know that you've told jokes in one of the April Fool's jokes. I think it was on Board&Dice, Heavy Cardboard.
Heavy Cardboard.
Yeah. Did you like just memorize everything, or did you just like, do you prepare every conventions?
I've always been interested in either fun or weird facts. And that's something that I do in general. I watch videos with weird things or fun facts about stuff. And I that's also a frequent topic in general, around the dinner table or something, just to have interesting conversations with the kids and as a family. We talk about a lot of just weird things. So we're trying for them to guess, which in some ways is a way for them to learn as well. For example, okay, well, tell me, what do you think is the most populated city in the world? And they are guessing, and because they generally have an idea of large, did I say building? I meant cities, largest cities.
No, you said cities. Yeah, you said cities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they generally have an idea of well-known cities. but they have no concept of which ones are the most populated ones, right?
What is it?
And
What is it? What is it?
those things are those types of things, and that's just an example. And there
Yeah.
might be other things that we do. So in general, weird facts and stuff like that I've always enjoyed. Now, at some point, so first of all, the joke with the knight and the monk and apple and the banana, that one I have been telling since I was probably.
Oh my
And
gosh. Every single
that
person fall.
that one started off as something that was just it was just a silly thing. I mean, it's still silly. In fact, it's become in some ways worse over time, but it solidified into something that is now consistent. So
Mhm.
it's word for word the same thing every time. And that at some point was just something that I don't know why I started telling it, or how or why I came up with it. But anyway, that one in particular, I know that it's what will happen at a convention, and sometimes, especially after the April Fools with heavy cardboard, the very next convention, and it was a little bit weird. And I'm not saying that there were hordes of people coming, but there were people that would come to the booth and say, "Hey, you're Rainer, right? I watched the April Fools with heavy cardboard. Would you mind telling that joke to my friend?"
Yeah.
Okay, sure, I will, because the point is not that it's funny. The point of the joke is that you cannot be the last person that hears it. Your
Yes.
enjoyment comes from watching someone else hear it. That's the part that is fun about the joke.
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
know what the punchline is.
Yeah.
Same thing at conventions. Whenever we have a meeting with the staff and volunteers, anytime that there's a new employee that is hired, this is kind of the rite of passage where it's like, oh, hey, you have not heard this. Okay, so at the next convention, we always have a dinner with the volunteers, the booth volunteers and stuff. Oh, okay, you haven't heard this one before. Well, now you will hear it because we're waiting for the food. So over time, I think they've always known. I get sent all the time people, or even like you will share something and
Yeah.
say, oh, hey, I heard this. People either tell me dad jokes, they send me things, they tag me on Facebook, or whatever. So I get them a lot. Then I filter through them. Most ones that I tell on a regular basis, especially if it's a prepared thing. Those are ones that I have found funny, and I'm either just, okay, well, here are some of my favorites that I've heard. But then there are also things that from time to time I will come up with, probably because my brain has nothing better to do at times, and something, and I will be waiting for that moment. That may be next week, that may be a month or a year from now, and there will be a certain comment that someone makes, and then here is that, and now it's the perfect time for me to make that comment, and then I move on, and so that's part of it, is the fact that people are feeding this to me, right? Because they know that I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I also do, I wouldn't necessarily call myself, although by bringing this up, I kind of do. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm quick-witted, but at the same time, I enjoy trying to quickly think of things and come with something that might be a funny comment naturally, which is why doing something prepared, or if someone will say, hey, well, tell me something, I have a hard time thinking of funny things to say on cue, right? That's not who I am.
I think hilarious. I think people say a good comedian never laugh at their own jokes, and I think that when you tell a joke, you look so serious and you don't laugh. I'm like, is this a joke or are you being serious? Like, that's part of the joke, actually. It's like, yes.
And my kids say that a lot. Because I will make a comment, just some kind of comment about something, and they'll look at me like, wait, is that actually true? And sometimes I deliberately make a comment that is so ridiculous. There's no way that this would be true. And they're, oh, that can't be. But yesterday you told us something that was equally ridiculous, but true. And of course the kids, they do that to their friends then. So they will make comments at school, and the friends will be like,
Yeah.
what? Oh, sorry, that's my dad will say that or whatever. In fact, there's a super silly thing that I don't know. I have no idea why I started it. It makes no sense
I
whatsoever.
believe you.
But point, there was some question that my kids they were asking me some question. I can't remember exactly what it was, but as an example, let's say that they were asking if they can use the computer.
Mm.
And for some reason, it was in a situation like that where I just answered with, and again, it doesn't make sense. I answered with,
Yeah.
"You are a computer." And for some reason, that has been a running joke in our family. I don't do that out in public, but for some reason, we do this as a family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my son,
This internal joke. Yeah.
yeah, my son was telling me that he's 17, so he's in high school, and he was saying that how just this past week the he had a conversation with his friends and they were saying something and he responded with the same thing and they looked at him like, does that make sense? But yeah, no, we do a lot of that in our family. We do
I know.
those.
I think I would imagine like all family has got, or like even me and Taryn has got internal jokes that we only us understands. So that's everybody, by the way, at home. That's hashtag parenting 101 from Rainer. Very good. Yes, thank you for answering that seriously.
Yeah.
So we actually love those jokes, and we always now have secret ending in our live playthrough. So we put the the end screen, and then we'll come back and then telling people our bad dad jokes. So this is like part of our stream just for funsies. Yeah, that's been working. But if people ask me what secret ending, I would deny it. I was like, what secret ending? Because the rules about secret ending is don't talk about secret ending.
Yep.
If you watch what do you call that? Fight Club.
Fight Club, yeah.
Yeah, Fight Club, yes. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was like oh, Rainer's and I was actually, because of those talks, I'm kind of like waiting for your more joke. I know that this is like sometimes you can't be pushed or whatever. So if you at any point, if you have any like now
See, I have to be careful though, because sometimes I know that there are some that love them and that encourage them. For example, again, the few times that I've taken my kids to particular local convention, right? And I introduce them to someone and say, "Oh, hey, this is so and so," that they may have seen. They will always like, "Well, have you told them?" And if the answer is no, they're like, "Okay, well, just go ahead," right? And but otherwise, I also try to be, because I know that there are people that hate these. There were very mixed feelings and responses to the Heavy Cardboard April Fools, right?
Yeah.
Some people loved it. Some people said that we do that again. But I also know that there are people who genuinely do not enjoy them. So I'm trying to give people a choice, right? Where unless they're a new employee or something, because then this is part of the process. But otherwise, I try not to do it. Like I will, if it's something that fits and that is spontaneous, then I might do it as part of other content and stuff. I like joking with people, but I don't necessarily pause to tell a joke, because that's not why people tuned in, unless I've told them beforehand that this is what I'm, with the exception of the Heavy Cardboard one, because we did not say it and we still subjected them to 34 minutes. But
was that like trying to open a box of Teotihuacan or something like that?
It was for the first expansion for it, and that was and we and then was, and we talked about we talked about that with briefly Jess and David, and then also at the end of that stream we tell people how that came about, right? And it was we enjoyed it.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So, if that can happen again one day, I'll be like, yep, That's Rainer.
Yeah.
I wish you can try it again. Like I genuinely hopefully.
Sometime we will. It will be I need to develop new material though. That's the problem, is that I need to also just come with some of my own things. But I don't generally do that. If anything, more off the cuff things that I like to do. So
Yeah.
Right.
I do have a pun calendar that I use sometimes. And I also have this book. Someone gifted this to me because they know we love this.
I used to, those are the things that I would get from the library as a kid, right? I would, oh hey, 1001 jokes and stuff. I love those. They're awesome.
Are we out of time now? We've got an hour or something.
Yeah, I mean, yes, technically we are, and in fact we are the last really serious thing for the convention. I will, yes, after this, the only thing that I'm gonna be doing, which you are welcome to stay for if you want, but at the same time, I don't want to take your time for it as well. But the last thing that I'm gonna do is just talk about some of the convention things that happened and all the cool things that have been going on and
whatever.
And such, so.
I'm all ears and all face and all that. It's up to you. So tell us what's the cool thing happens at the convention.
I mean, I first of all, I have to thank the people that have been watching, like you, participating, and the comments from people, whether this has been on social media, whether it's been on Twitter or Facebook, or in comments on here or on our Discord, the number of people that have just reached out and said, "Oh, this was awesome. They loved the content," or even the people that have taken the time to participate that have then afterwards thanked as well. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's been such an amazing, like I think the last couple of months they've been rough from the repetitive absence of some of my favorite things in life, which is other people, seeing friends, and just being around people. That's what I thrive on. I love, as much as we were talking about how conventions can be, they can be a lot of hard work to go to, and for you as well, right? But they're so rewarding because there are people that I consider good friends, like you, that I don't get to see other than a couple of times a year. And you develop these friendships and such, and it's not, it sounds might sound a little bit weird because they are, on the surface they might seem superficial because we don't actually interact with people like that. They're not necessarily friendships of the kind where you know a lot about someone's background or history or so, unless you talk about it, right? But at the same time, they're very meaningful friendships. They are friendships where when
you share your hobbies, hobbies, that's meaningful.
But it's also a long-term thing of, that there are people that you can trust. There are people that if you lived closer together, you would be interacting more often outside of what we do in the hobby, right? And I think that's what's so wonderful, is that it blurs the lines a bit of, you meet with people that, and I'm not trying to discount that experience for people who are, because that's enjoyable, and I have those same feelings.
You always consider it, yes.
Yeah, and there are some people that I never interact with, that I look up to the same as everyone else. Like, oh man, I would love to meet that person someday, or so. But then there are others that you have the opportunity to interact with, or do, or even like fun things like this, where I feel like I can just be myself. I can just
absolutely.
And it's it's been so wonderful this weekend to have everything be about not just the hobby that we enjoy, but it's been about doing this with good friends and other people who, and we do this because we love games, and we just and we love each other as well, right? And that part has been super meaningful from my perspective, and the fact then that other people have enjoyed it and expressed that has been absolutely fantastic.
I'm 100%, like 1000% agree. I met a lot of good friends via board game. Then we do other things as well. We help each other with other things other than board games. We do other stuff. Look, I met Taryn. He was one of my board game friends. All right, my husband now, Tarrant. If anyone doesn't know, I met him through a random board game meetup and becoming friends, and then more than friends, and then now we're married. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying there. This is like more friends than board game. Sharing hobbies, sharing common interests is one of the good things, especially for some of us are introverted. Not only for introverted, but I think especially more if more introverted. So just talking about board games is a good way to get to know people better.
Yeah, and even like when I first started working for NSCAN, which was before we merged with Board&Dice.
Oh yeah, NSKG.
NSCAN. Yep.
NSCAN. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And what's funny is that we started working together and doing fairly serious business together. Where I started just because of practical reasons, which is what I do today, right? I manage our U.S. operations, and especially anything that is administrative, because sometimes it requires by law that you have a legal presence in the United States, or there are other things that are just practical and stuff. And we started doing these things together, not really knowing each other at all. We had met through gaming and through interactions, and we'd done a few things. And yes, I was a fan of their games, and I'd been involved in either both supporting some of the Kickstarters and done rulebook editing and so forth. And we decided at some point that we wanted to work together. And we had been working together for several months before I actually met any of them in person. It wasn't until I went to Spiel. And that was the first time and it was like, well, of course, we've always known each other. That's what it felt like, right? Because it was just, and like you said, a lot of those things where you where you're sharing a hobby, you are dependent on the trust. You often get recommended people, and okay, so and so is someone that I can trust to work with and stuff, because we depend on that. We need that. The networking is very strong in the industry, and you depend on people that other people that you respect, have had good interactions with, and so forth. And I don't know, I just think it's I would be happy just playing, being able to work in my hobby. That alone is great. But then you also get the added benefit of just getting to know more people that share your same interests. So
absolutely correct. And it's D34DP
Deadpan.
for Deadpan. Thank you. Been looking for a lot of these due to weekend plans, but really appreciate you doing this. Enjoyed the streams I saw. There you go. Well done, Rainer, and other people that's
Thank
been
you.
on the stream beforehand as well.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, we started this, so we started yesterday. It's been now a total of 25 hours, I think, of streaming.
Oh wow. Hopefully it's not all. The good thing is not you 100%. Otherwise, you won't sleep.
Well, correct. It hasn't been all in one, but I've been on this side, even if during segments that where I wasn't hosting. Right, I was sitting on this side and running the stream behind the scenes and stuff. And I have to say, I have been so impressed with everyone that has been on here as a guest or a participant or as a host, I cannot thank everyone, and of course you included, for the participation. It's been absolutely amazing, and I am humbled by the fact that we've had such a wonderful group of people on to help make this an enjoyable experience for people that have been watching. We've had great conversation, like we have had the great interviews, and we've had panels with illustrators. We've had discussions, with designers and everything, and it's been absolutely amazing to get to be part of that as well. So it's
Absolutely. As Derek say, that you've been in production too, very multi-talented, and you're also well regarded in the board game industry, Rainer, not just,
thank you.
it's not just Board&Dice. This is why the Twitch is called Rainer Board&Dice, not just Board&Dice, because it has your name on it, and that makes it more personal, I think, which is good. So, and well regarded for your Jorg, which I'm still waiting to hear to one to come, but I am hoping it will come at least one. And Deadpan, a fan of Memphis Meeple and Emmy, so nice seeing them on. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, Memphis Meeple and David. It's really nice. I met David also on Board Game Convention, and Jess from Heavy Cardboard. It's just amazing. And Dr. Science, I enjoyed everything I was able to catch on Twitch this weekend. Thanks for the great content. There you go, Rainer. That is
thank
all
you.
for Rainer. Yeah. And Drunk Physics says, how are you enjoying the con, Rainer? Which you've you shared a little bit before.
Yeah. Right now I am I'm both tired and
oh no.
I am in need of a shower, which is how conventions usually work, because I've been sitting here for like I've showered in between too much information, but at the end of a day, like yesterday I did, I think, 13 and a half hours of streaming, and I sat in this room. I took short breaks for I needed to go get the food, but then at the same time I was monitoring the stream, so I brought the food here, and I've been living in this room now for 2 days, it feels like. And
I can see your tent over there. Seriously, there's a tent there.
Yeah,
and
right.
Also,
but otherwise, no, it's been a like I am absolutely amazed with this convention. Now, to make a comment about what you said, so like for Twitch, I think it's, I mean, that's how at least I approach the hobby, right? Is that it's not just about Board&Dice, our brand as a company. That's why earlier this morning we did a stream where people had a chance to meet the rest of the team. There are so many behind the scenes that do things. Some of them, yes, they're credited in the rulebook, but it's not a very personal thing. So we did a stream where people had a chance to just, you could see their faces, just say hi and who they are and everything. Because that's the part that I find meaning in, is not just doing this as Board&Dice, but doing it as me, and trying to develop the relationships and being, it's so important that you are genuine and honest, and that you I mean, that's it's important. But and hopefully that's people enjoy that too. It seems like people enjoy when it's a more personal interaction, which is also I do some of the weird things, right? I don't want to be just another person working for another publisher, and I know other publishers do this as well, right? But I have picked my own thing, like sharing candy that I know that most people are not going to enjoy. I have that at the booth, and I share it, and it's just one of those things, right, where that's me. And
absolutely. And even James said, nice to James Korea said, nice getting to know Rainer here. and hope to play games with both of you in person one day. I would love that. So
Absolutely.
James has got a really nice Instagram, Little Meeples, and it's also been helping me with, because he's got more followings. I'm almost get to 10,000, which I'm quite excited and almost there. Following on Instagram. Part of it is thanks to James as well, helping us. So check out Little Meeples on Instagram.
Yes, definitely.
Speaking of a plug, but yeah, that was awesome, Rainer. And I unfortunately missed that. It sounds like it is a bit early for me, but I probably like just to meet the team of Board&Dice, and I know some of them. I do have a present for Philip though. If you see on my screen right there.
Yes.
That is just for Philip. And that is like, it's not like in Australia there's also this, over here there's no, wrong, the snake, but it's only on the background. Look, I have a pet snake here. No, I'm kidding. That's only on maybe rural area, not in the city. So don't be afraid. Come to Australia. Let's just catch the back end of the snake.
that has been, and just what Stella's talking about as well. So this has been a long, just one of those internal jokes, right? That we've shared on Messenger between you and me and Philip, and from time to and I have to admit, I am not a fan of creeping things, right? And especially those that are the ones that are large enough where they can either actually harm me, or they can be faster than me, and not a fan.
Yeah.
But I'm also comfortable with the distance when it's on screen, right? But it's been fun. We've been teasing Philip, yes, with all sorts of, because Australia is home to an extraordinary amount of very extreme creatures,
exotic creatures. Yeah. So don't expect that when you one day if you go to Australia, maybe you just hop out of the train or plane, and then you are greeted by spiders and snakes. It is not like that. I'm just like overjoying it just for you.
It's the same here, right? I know that we have mountain lions. Yes. We have scorpions, we have tarantulas and black widows, and we have rattlesnakes. And I mean, have I seen them? Some of them, sure. I've seen some of them out in the wild here in Utah. But do you see them a lot? No. And even when you have, they're not. It's not like this is because I know that they are afraid of me. Unless I try to harm them, most of them are just either going to warn me that they are there, or they're just going to be long gone before I even get to where they are. So that's absolutely not as much of a concern. And
it's a question.
Drunk Physics, feel free to ask questions. This right here is meant to be a casual and relaxing end to the convention, and especially if you have had any cool experiences, if there was a particular segment that you liked. Also, by the way, I do have to give also a shout out and a huge thank you to volunteers that have been in fact the entire time, so they did not take a break just because we have people in different time zones. So we've actually had one Discord that have been running demos during the entire convention. A huge thank you to all of them for their willingness to do so, and for we have such an awesome team of volunteers that take pride in how they teach the games. We always try to do our best to make them feel welcomed and feel included. Like at a big convention, we all wear the same shirt. It doesn't matter if you're an employee or if you are everyone. It has the same value to us, right?
Yeah.
And I sometimes try to be I try to be careful with how I refer to people who are our volunteers, because they're so important to what we do. And I want to elevate them, right? That's the point. They are so important to us and what we do. So big thank you to everyone that has just have been part of that, which has been a less visible part. But of course, if you've had a chance to, and I did get some messages from people that had had a chance to get a demo, and it was awesome. So thank you to all of them as well.
So Rainer, I have also another thing. I am considering converting my wardrobe in my house to a board game collection place, but I was worried that I was losing clothing space. It was a trivial pursuit.
Yes,
it's not a well-known word there.
one of my favorite types of is something like and sometimes I've used this one in different varieties. I did not come up with it, but I've used it because I like it and it fits in a lot of situations. Something like well, there are two of them. Something like, thank you for being patient while I figured out the oh wait, what is it? Oh, now I'm blanking on that one. There's one.
Oh no!
Thank you while I figured out the meaning of
life. Board game.
No, there was
Board and Dice. Your family? No, it's making up things.
Anyway,
so
but the other one that I was which is clothing related, which I thought of, and this is one that I would, when you mentioned something about clothing, this is one that I would immediately use if it's someone that I know that hasn't heard it before, which is that yesterday I was trying to link watches together to make a belt. Turned out to be a big waste of time.
Yeah, I only get one joke.
So,
one joke. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. I was like, I better hear a joke, otherwise I won't come. No. So like that.
So here's
a question.
Here's a question from Drunk Physics. I'm going to put this up on the on the screen as well. So I recently experienced the King's Dilemma, which was a very different and unique experience for me in gaming with a social legacy aspect. Do you think legacy Euros could be a thing, and also adding the social interaction to Euros in some way? I had a conversation with or just in general on my regular streams that I do every Monday. This past Monday was a question interaction in games. And I think there's a little bit more interaction in games than we, and especially in Euros, than we give credit to, right? Because there's always the, like, you know how it is when you're playing a game, and we have played together. I may try to teach you the rules, but then when we actually sit down and play, I am not trying to be extra nice. And you know that there are moments when I make a move that will directly it's one of those mildly infuriating moments, right?
It's strategic move, so that's acceptable in board games. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I consider that something that is still interaction, because you know that when you make that move, right before I do it, I get this, and a good example was yesterday. I played Origins with Derek and Shrey and Benita, and Shrey was immediately after me in turn order. And there was a time when I was like, oh, I think I should put out a building. And I'm looking there. I did not care whichever one I picked. And I knew exactly which one Shrey wanted. So that's the one that I took.
Of course.
And there's so much pleasure in it, because right before I do that, I know that he is sitting there.
Yeah.
Oh, don't take that. But he can't say anything. So he's sitting patiently waiting for me to do my move. I have a moment of realization that, and it's so pleasant. Then I make the move. I hear his frustration, and I know how much he did not like that. And I did that at least twice to him in the game. And those are the things that I actually think they enhance the experience, because it's not just me sitting and doing my
It was
thing.
so sad.
I
It was so
I
sad.
care about yeah. No,
It is
and
indeed.
those things I like. I definitely like. So if we count that as part of the answer, if we count
Yeah.
that as a social interaction,
Yeah.
I think anytime that you get to do something that has an emotional, like the reason why social, especially social deduction games, why they become so popular, and I like them as well, is because they're a way to get emotions going. And of course, that's part of the reason why we play games in general, is because
Yeah.
they bring us some emotional feelings. But I think in Euro games, I still count the fact that it's not just about how many points I get. It's not about that. It's about how could I do something that either was so enjoyable that I would talk about it afterwards. Like in Origins, I didn't win. In fact, both Benita and Shrey, they had way more points than I did.
Mhm.
But I talk about this moment because I remember it, and I remember the feeling of joy on my part and
Yeah.
how sad Shrey was. And that
Yes.
alone is something that I consider
Yeah.
a social interaction, because it meant something, because it was Shrey and me. It was something that it means something. The more you know the people,
Yeah.
the more it becomes meaningful. So I still count those for social interaction in Euros.
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to legacy things in Euros, that's a bit harder, because legacy, I would say that most of the legacy games that have been around are at least at a minimum a hybrid Euro. Um, but I
That's true.
think I think the hard part is with legacy games. As much as I talked about this earlier, I am sometimes a monster when it comes to games. I enjoy tearing cards up, and I enjoy. It doesn't do anything for me
Yes.
emotionally, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
part of that
Very.
is because, as a publisher, I mean, I get sample copies. What am I going to do with them? Okay, some of those bits and pieces I save. If it's a complete factory sample, then it's one that I can either keep and play, or it can be sent to a reviewer or something. It's something that we can. But let's say that's just sample things, right? I get samples of components. Sometimes they're not printed; they're just sample materials or the card, or I get them in another language. I get
Oh yeah.
games in Chinese and Korean, and I recycle that all the time because I don't need it. I don't know anyone that this could even be useful. Now, sometimes cards I would keep for prototyping because I sleeve them and I put just a
Yeah.
printed piece of paper in front
Sticker.
of it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, like, getting rid of gaming content or components and stuff. It doesn't
Mhm.
do anything for me.
Yep.
But I think that people that play, especially the more strategic the Euro games are, the more predictability people expect, because you want to make sure that it's like a learned and trained art where you're working on your craft and you can become good at a game and take pride in that. And that's really important for Eurogamers. We want to work on our skill and be like, oh, look what I did. I got
Mhm.
200 points. Whereas for people that play more thematic games, it's more about that instant, what happened right at that moment. So
Gratification. Yeah.
I don't think that and I know I'm generalizing, but I don't think that legacy Euros are as successful because of that. Simply because there's the game already has to have something in it. Like Pandemic Legacy is already based on the fact that the game is doing mean things to you. There are ups and downs. There are very dramatic moments. Sometimes you
Mm.
barely win. That's how the game works in general. Adding legacy to it doesn't change the feelings. It just makes them more pronounced, and you can get mad directly at the
Mm.
game because this is something that the designer did on purpose. That's the only difference. But otherwise, the feelings stay the
It's
same.
different. I think King's Dilemma is a slightly different one. It is a Euro game, but there's a lot of backstabbing, social interaction. It's almost like Games of Thrones, but legacy. I don't know if there's
Mhm.
legacy Games of Thrones. So I reckoned King's Dilemma is it's kind of like you cater for the Eurogamer, plus you must also like that sort of like it's higher social interaction than other gamers in the fact that that's sort of like you fight for somebody to, you know, do you want to do this or you want to get that or you want to backstab anyone. So it's, I think that in particular in this King's Dilemma, it's a little bit more than most. Well, I wouldn't say more. It's a different type of interaction. It's like a social, not deduction, a social game combined with Euro
Mhm.
together. So you must have, oh, I think it's quite popular from Guild Bed, something horrible Guild games. Sorry, horrible
Mhm.
Guild games. When you combine those, you need to make sure that those people like those things. So if you like you used to Euro games and you don't really like social deduction type of game or interaction backstabby, it's probably going to be a little bit tough for some people to play King's Dilemma. But if you like both, and most probably you want to play with the people that you know, like your friends, A, because it's better if you know the people, it's more interesting, and B, you're going to stuck with those same people for like, although you can interchange the people. Anyways, it's probably like a group of friends that you know and you play that. But I don't see it's going to be a trend because to combine that social reduction element and then this Euro, it might be, there are some people that like it, but there's also people that don't really like those two in one game. This is like Eurogamer, just like Eurogamer, as Rainer said, is a hybrid. I think it's definitely a hybrid, and I don't know if I could see that
I have a
becoming.
bit of a
Yeah,
controversial answer to this.
got
And
it.
I
Okay, go
think
for it.
the answer would be yes, a legacy Euro would definitely work if it's a game that you think you want to just sit and play forever. If there's a game where you're
Like
saying
side
I'm not
works.
done
Yeah,
after 4 hours,
yeah,
which is an extreme length for a Euro game, but
mm,
a lot of games there are too many games that fit in the I wish I had more time if you played it for 2 hours. There are not a lot of them that you want to play for 4 hours.
yes,
But if you're
like
saying,
side.
you know what, I could play this game for 12 hours. I could play it for 20 hours. Because the reality is that when we talk about things that are legacy in Eurogames, I also think that Eurogamers, and that includes myself, we're also a little bit impatient. While we are not striving for instant gratification, we want to get some payout and we want the predictability of being able to measure, okay, how much is this going to do, whether this is victory points or whatever. And you want to be able to see that I'm playing towards it, because, and especially the heavier the game is, there's so much involvement into that process. You don't want to, like, if you get distracted
Finish. Yeah, yeah,
by anything, you're like, oh man, now I got distracted. And which is also why some of the rules, like don't use phones at the table and stuff, they're more common discussions in
mm,
a Eurogamer group, because that's where distractions can actually completely
yeah,
ruin. If you get a little bit distracted, that can ruin your strategy. You might not be able to remember it and stuff. So having to keep track of things over multiple games can be a challenge in general. But the question is also, do you want that to just come to an end sooner, and would you rather just start a new game to play again? And that's where the difference is, I think, when it comes to legacy Euro games, is because most often the answer is going to be, I don't want to play it for 4+ hours, and I
yeah,
would rather have the game completed and done in 2 hours and just be able to get that out of my mind. And I would rather play it again and again and again rather than having it permanently change, because some of
yeah,
those decisions, I don't mind making a bad decision in a Euro game. Sometimes I do, and I know that I will have to suffer the consequences of that, maybe for an hour, maybe for 2, but I don't want to suffer the consequences for 20 hours. I don't
yeah,
want to
yeah.
realize that I should have made a different decision. I
Got it.
underestimated, overestimated something, and now I'm playing through that same game multiple sessions. And I think that's the difference. Now, there's a good example here with My City, right? That
Oh, My City is different than King Dilemma. King
correct.
Dilemma is social, and that's like Scythe, Rise of Fenris, My City, Charterstone. That's different. That's Euro.
But also, what
Yeah.
Derek says is that My City, they are still individual games, not completely unlike. Let's say that I invited
Continuous, your
you to
score.
play
Yeah.
Teotihuacan, or I invited you to play Tekken or anything, and I said, okay, we're now going to play 10 games, and each time this is going to be the progression of technologies, and we get to keep one from game to game or whatever. That would work, but that's not the same as legacy, because in a legacy game
Yes. Continue to score.
you're definitely altering things in a way that, now I know that of course in My City obviously also altering your gaming board, but then next time you play, it's still not the heavy strategic game where some of those, like, it's a different mindset for those, um for that gameplay. But I don't know. I mean, could it be something that I'm sure
Yeah.
we will at some point, if
Yeah.
it weren't for the fact that legacy games take so much time and effort to develop and test and everything.
Mhm.
um I mean,
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. I mean,
because we
it's
have.
also so many new games. Do people stick with the same game? For a few sessions. That's also the question. Pandemic is different. That's enjoyable, and that's no one's lagging behind. Although there's might be a player issue, not the dishonest issue of somebody controlling alpha player, somebody
Mhm.
controlling the game, maybe. But that's a game that I would
I
play. I have played.
But I think
Uh,
that's also what the equivalent of this in Eurogaming is expansions, because that's
That's
where
true.
you
Yeah.
say, okay, well,
Yeah.
now you've played through it. Here's something, because in a way, what the expansions provide most of the time, or at least if it's a good expansion, in my opinion,
Mhm.
is that it requires that you have played the game, you have experience with the game, and
Yeah.
now it alters here. Ooh, here's a new thing, and now you have to consider this. Oh man, I now this other action that I was so used to doing this way, but now I have to evaluate this. That gives you some of the same feelings, but in a completely different form. And part of that is probably also the fact that this is tradition, right? We were used to Euro games and expansions,
Yeah.
except for a lot of people are also very pure in that regard, that they don't want
Mhm.
it to alter. They want a game that is perfection in the base game, and they want to be able to perfect their craft. And once they
Yeah.
have, which I've actually had that experience with only one game where I felt like, aside from games that I didn't like, but there's one game that I stopped playing because I got to the point where I felt like that this game had nothing else to offer me. And I don't know. We want to I think just either get better at it within a certain restricted parameters. In fact, it might even be the fact that Eurogamers are a bit a glutton for punishment, because people talk about, oh, this was such a heavy game. Oh, my brain hurt afterward. Well, these are negative things. Like I wouldn't want to sit and watch a movie that gives me some of those same feelings. I wouldn't enjoy certain other interactions in life. Like, I'm not going to rate a store based on how painful it was to shop there. But people rate, they like a game because of how painful it was to play.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, this is a wonderful topic to discuss. I just think that gaming is there's so many different nuances to things, and yeah, I
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. It's in the wonderful world. There's kind of not legacy. There's scenario. I think it's
mhm,
more people doing scenario rather than legacy.
mhm.
So there are more and more. Maybe it's kind of like psychologically giving more options. Oh, so this game is so much more replayable because
But
it has
scenarios and
I don't know.
I think scenarios and campaigns, that they specifically do
Oh,
that
campaign.
because
The
it's
campaign.
a
Yeah.
again, it's that parameters where you're saying, okay,
Yeah.
we're now using either all the same components and basically having a different setup. So that's what a lot of games do with their variable, right? And it's the same if you have a scenario. Okay, well, now you just change the parameters. That's not any different than having a variable setup.
Yeah.
And other times it's the fact that, okay, well, something happened
Yeah.
and you now you get this
Storyline.
thing and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's but that, again, that's different. That's a different type of experience. But
Yeah.
also it's much easier to design around it.
Yeah.
Because you are in 100% control over. Doesn't matter how great or poorly it went the previous game, you reset for the next game. So that's a different. Yeah.
So, as Derek say, TO2 kan legacy. Maybe not.
No, I don't know that. First of all, I don't think that we have no plans to make legacy games. Part of that is
Okay.
let's put it this way. So we have the escape tools, right? That are definitely, if you were to put them in the legacy realm, it would be a non-destructive legacy, because
Yes.
most of the time you're going to
Story.
play until
Yeah.
you get to a certain point, and then you will save it, you will continue. So it might
I
be
enjoy
a
that, actually.
3-game thing, right?
Yeah.
So let's stretch this a bit and say that that's legacy, non-destructive legacy, because that could easily be 12 sessions or whatever. Now, what restricts this from becoming 12 sessions, like you look at Children of Wormwoods, there are over 60 endings.
Wow.
And it's just, it takes so much work and testing and proofreading. And at the same time, there becomes a moment when the value of what you get, you don't want to pay for 1/60th of what you are experiencing, right? That's not fun. You don't want to have the cost, and at some point it just does not become sustainable. And it's a little bit like that probably legacy games as well, because now it has to be something where you don't feel like you're missing out on anything because of the decisions that you made. It can't be that game altering. And it also can't be where you feel like, oh man, I have all these boxes and things that I never read, I never opened, or whatever. So it's a bit of a restricting and limiting factor. And we just don't have the desire to go down that path, because that's not the games that we make. Escape Tales has been the extent of going down that path, but they're also not going to get any more elaborate than they have been so far.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I could only imagine how much work you have to put into those sort of games.
Here's a good question.
Mhm.
What about cooperative Euros? Have you played any, and not just hybrid ones, but
right? It's Pandemic. Oh, I don't think that's actually. Oh, Chatterstone is not cooperative. There's semi-cooperative Euro, Dwarf Winters. That's semi-cooperative. It's Pandemic is not a Euro, though.
Well, and the question I think becomes also how random is the game, right? Because that's often a place that the more random a game becomes, that's what moves it towards the hybrid. If there are random outcomes and
Subterra Euro. Sorry, no, keep going. I'm just like thinking it's a cooperative game. Stardew Valley. How's that? That's a Euro, and that's cooperative. And I'm actually streaming that this Thursday evening.
Oh yes, this is also Orleans Invasion.
Oh yes! Oh my gosh,
co-op.
I love it. I love it. It's so hard, but I love it.
That's a really good example, actually.
Yeah,
because
that
is,
not a Euro.
and especially because that took a game that was very competitive. Like Orleans is so competitive.
Oh yeah.
And now they said, oh, and by the way, now play it as a co-op.
Yes. There's another one. There's a deck building that's co-op. It's a magic fantasy. I can't remember the name of it. And it's very interesting because it is deck building and like
deck
all
builders also they straddle that line of, because they're not really highly thematic and they're not super random, but they're also not pure
Euro.
in the Euro sense.
Yeah, same with Orleans, right? Orleans, because it's pool building, like chip tile building is similar. I would like to.
I think it also gets a pass because there's the board, there are all the other non-random things that there's the definite predictability.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah.
But otherwise, and what you're talking about here, Drunk Physics, having people doing their own engine building that would allow a central goal to be achieved. That is how the scenarios work in It's a Wonderful World. That's how they work, because you have everyone can together complete basically an objective. And sometimes there are a lot of Euros that do that, where you have, in fact, spoiler, but you guys deserve something if you have been. There have been talks and plans, not for actual that would go into expansions, but content for some of our games that would give you basically advanced versions of playing some of the games that we have that will give you objectives that you have to fulfill before you can win the game, certain requirements. So that's definitely possible. That you can totally do in Euros, where you can say there's a common goal here that has to be achieved. And that's borrowing a lot from war games, where you have something that everyone has to complete or so before anyone can win. That happens also, of course, in more hybrids. On the Pandemic, you can outright lose the game. Everyone can lose. And that happens a lot in social games, where you have some kind of overall trigger, or lots of people can win or lose and stuff. So it's, which I actually, sometimes people, what I feel is incorrectly, they talk about how there's not enough innovation just because there are no new mechanisms that are that come out. But I don't think we need new mechanisms. We just need people to get creative with all the things that we have, because we now live in a much more advanced age where you've even had games that were so overused in the past, like roll and writes. No, not roll and writes. Roll and moves is what I mean. Although I did think that roll and writes were overused for a while as well. But roll and moves. Roll and moves in their purest form from the 70s and 80s and earlier, they were bad games in general, because you rolled a die and you saw what happened.
Yeah.
But there are good moves. There are roll and move games today that you can play that are proper games. And
was it the new one that they redone? I can't. Something Quest? No.
Thunderstone Quest?
Hero Quest? No. Hero Quest? Was it a roll and move game?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Not Hero Quest. I've got that right. Oh, I don't know. I haven't actually played it yet. Oh, Genway.
Hey, Genway.
Hey, Genway. Oh, hello. Genway is one of our regulars in our live playthrough. Oh, you got different Twitch name. Okay, got it. Thank you. Roll and move, yeah. Yeah, that's been an interesting topic. Like I'm chill out here with Rainer. I don't mind like talking about different random stuff, from convention to board game. What a weekend of contents, as Genway said.
Yeah, and we were just saying this a little bit ago, that it's been so, and we will. Some people have asked about rewatching some of the things. I will take all of so everything is obviously recorded and stuff, and we will take this and edit it and put them into individual segments, so that you don't have to play through a whole thing. So they will become available on
YouTube.
On YouTube, we don't currently have, like, we have an old YouTube channel that we used for not necessarily regular content and stuff, but everything, and that includes past streams and such. Everything that we've done before, we're going to put on YouTube. And once that is done, then yes, I will add YouTube to also just stream directly there. I didn't want to do that now because this was such a long segment. I wanted to. Well, I
Yeah.
can't remember what the cutoff is as well on YouTube.
Can't remember as well. Yeah.
But for YouTube, it's better with shorter ones. I would definitely start doing the weekly streams to YouTube as well, because that means less editing. And yeah,
for sure. Yeah, live stream is less editing than pre-recorded for sure.
Yeah.
I know that.
So, well, I think we are going to as wonderful as this has been, and especially thank you, Ella, as well, for not just the initial part, but also for staying here and being part of this what became an extended segment as well. Thank you so much for being here, and again, a thank you to everyone that has been participating, whether it's been as guests, as hosts, as in any capacity. Thank you to everyone that has been watching, to all the volunteers, to those behind the scenes, those that have been manning our social media and everything. Huge thank you to everyone for making this a success, and it's been such a pleasure to be part of it. Hopefully it's been enjoyable. Thank you again, Stella, for it was so great to see you again and just interacting, especially like
right?
these things that are live. The fact that we can do this, you're on a it's tomorrow for you. You can see in the future, and it's just
Hey, Rainer, I'll talk to you later about like dragging you to our channels again.
yes,
to
absolutely.
live stream, not like maybe in a couple of weeks after you recover a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, anytime.
And yay! Thanks so much for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah,
I can also leave you continue. If are you going? Keep going. I can also let you talk about other Board&Dice, or are you actually finishing up your stream as well?
No, this will be the end, probably of.
That's it.
Right. Our, yeah. This is the last of our scheduled content and stuff. So it's but we will be back with other stuff. I will probably do a. So normally I stream on Mondays, right? I will be back tomorrow for a brief stream. Mostly it will be probably normally that tomorrow would have been, because it's of which week it is, it would have been a live stream of one of our games. Because we did that this weekend, we're not going to do that tomorrow. It will probably be a shorter stream, perhaps some general Q&A and stuff to talk about. So I will do that then. But otherwise, yeah, this has been great. It's we will definitely do this again sometime in the future. This has been wonderful, and look forward to doing more things with you as well. Yes.
Could be cool to see Rainer versus Taryn Dead Joke Party.
I think we'd have to include Michael in that as well. He always has he has things on Steph's streams all the time where he does dad jokes and stuff.
We can make this happen. Those. Oh, we can. So, we can definitely.
Yep. So
that totally.
Anyway,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Thank you again so much. Thank you to all of you. This has been an absolute pleasure, and we will be back in the future, and you will hear more follow-up things on our upcoming releases and games and playthrough and all of that. Ooh. Check out Stella on both her channel on YouTube. Check her out on social media as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. In general, if you are not following Stella, you definitely should. And yeah.
And I'll have Rainer on my channel as well in the next few weeks, hopefully. Yay!
Looking forward to it. All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. Thanks for having
Have a
me.
wonderful
Thanks so
one.
much, Rainer. Bye.
Okay. Bye.